Hi, today we're going to talk about something that Tucker went into. How did Tucker talk about all of these crazy things in not more than about 5 or 6 minutes of you're going to see of this cut video? We're going to walk through that cut video and show you some things that you can't imagine someone actually saying. So let's get into
This
that.
election.
Well, Trump
Okay,
Last
so let me
24
back
hours
up.
has been wild. The amount of news that has come out. How did
The amount of news that is coming out. Have you not felt it? Today is Thursday, the 18th, and the news just keeps bam, 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 bam. It's because we're trying to wake up the last of the people.
attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump change this election?
well, Trump won when that happened because he displayed physical courage. And if you live in a society where people are literally dating by remote, virtually, and working virtually, you can kind of lose touch with the physical reality of life. But the unchanging
Dating remotely, virtual reality, what he's telling you is that what you're seeing isn't what you're actually getting. Some people who are on dating sites are saying the same thing. Like, why does the face not match the person that when I meet up with that person, right? Or why do with all this virtual work and what I have found as an employer, when I don't have anyone working virtually, I don't want that. But those companies that do that kind of thing, I've seen performances go down. And he's actually sort of intimating that in a real interesting way.
truth is that leadership requires courage, and not just abstract courage, moral courage, but physical courage. Someone starts shooting a rifle. Like, are you going to wet yourself and start crying and run away? Or are you going to stand up and look at your people and raise your fist and say, fight? And
Wet yourself and run away. What are we talking about there? Joe Biden with his little diaper things, and too many times that he's pooped on stage. All these other stuff that you go, wait a second, he's intimating all the same things that you know about.
very few people are capable of doing that. And he is. And therefore he wins. Because that supersedes all this nonsense that we talk ourselves into believing is important. No, the guy got shot in the face. He stood up with blood streaming down the side of his head, blood on his hands, and said, fight. Totally defiant. That's an act of undeniable courage that was not staged. You couldn't stage that. And that man is the leader, and he wins. And by the way, notice what happens to everyone in the crowd. When a leader is strong, his people are calm. His courage gives them heart. That's true for a father, and it's true for a president. So yeah, he just won, and he deserves to win.
Again, he's saying for a president. People are not catching how many times people like this are saying president. You don't talk about an ex-president or anyone but a former president. You're talking about a president. He is the CIC, the commander in chief.
Like that was the
Now, okay,
ultimate
we'll pause
test.
there.
You had predicted about a year ago.
Okay, so we're going to jump into the next level of predictions. She's got some good questions in here with that too, and predicts about the assassination attempt. Right. So watch this.
That an assassination attempt on Trump was likely. How did we get here?
Well, we got here. Disaster has many authors, so we got here for a
Disaster has many authors. Disaster tends to make you think it's a happening. It's an act of God, right? And yet that's not how he says it. Now I have no idea who comes up with that quote. It doesn't really matter. Disaster has many authors, meaning the author is someone who's actually predicted it, someone who's created it, right? I'm an author of books. You don't just say this random events like the Big Bang Theory is, right? A random event. And yet the left and the crazed left want to say that everything is just random, just like evolution is random. And yet what he's saying is, These are planned events. Oh my goodness, guys, you got to catch why it is. And then watch what he connects next.
Bunch of different reasons. I think there's been, I say this as someone who's been in the media my whole life, 33 years, an extraordinary amount of recklessness and dishonesty in the American news media, which is loathsome. The legacy media, the big companies that I spent my life working for.
Wait a second. Why is he going to media? I mean, he just had assassination attempt. So just think for half a second. If you have a stream of consciousness coming out of you, okay? If you're talking assassination, you might go to historical perspective. He might say JFK. He doesn't. Why doesn't he talk about Lincoln? Or the other, functionaries that have been killed, or anyone that you might even, RFK who was killed. Uh, why would he go there? Why wouldn't he talk about government? Why wouldn't he talk about Secret Service? He doesn't talk about that. He goes directly to the lying media, and watch the connections. You need to be getting hard from this. And see, sometimes I get people who are very upset about things. Understand, this is part of the plan. Now, even if you believe in the theory that this was a white hat operation or a black hat operation, I'm telling you, there is an overarching overall plan. This is what the cabal wants you to think. They want you to believe in their story because, and I'm going to share something later on, not in this video, but I'm going to share something with Mark Z tonight that will kind of shock you, that only a day before the event of the shooting of Trump, they shorted his stock. And shorting of a stock is a way that you believe that it's going to go down. Someone knew it. And who knows it? He intimates it, media.
Have really dedicated themselves to lying in a very cruel and vicious way. People like Joe Scarborough did a lot, I think, to make assassination attempts like that possible. They're comfortable with violence. Scarborough especially is comfortable with violence, but a lot of them are, I think. And so they should be ashamed they're not, but they should be. But I think more broadly, there's a lot going on that is unseen. There's a lot of evil all of a sudden in this country. I never noticed.
So I blanks out because I paused different parts of the video. I mean, holy cow, guys! He goes from lying to evil, and man, this is a big thing, because now everyone who says, "Well, Trump should have died," you see the evil that comes out of them. And where does evil come from? It comes from Satan. And then when you see the cabal and Satan connection, it's over. It's over.
It before. I'm not saying it wasn't here, but in the 55 years I've been here, I haven't seen it like I've seen it in the last year. People really being vicious, people espousing cruelty and killing, people telling you that abortion for its own sake or war for its own sake is a good thing.
And we've heard that, right? Even with the Ukraine war. I mean, some people are against it, some people are for it. Obviously, there's a whole levels of things that are going on with that. But if you don't support the Ukraine, and you're for Russia, or even like Russia, or say anything good about them, then you're evil. Like, when do we say we want to keep the war going? Isn't the Democratic Party supposed to be the non-war, the peaceful kind of thing? And yet we still have a lot of the Republicans doing this. This is not a Republican Democrat thing. This is all cabal, and you need to see beyond the reaches. And he even kind of intimates it.
What is that? That's evil. So there's a lot of that, and this is, I would say, a manifestation of it.
Very controversial by the leftist media.
Oh, you're so controversial. Oh, you're so controversial.
Did the assassination attempt on Trump make you regret anything that you've said?
Okay, wait a second here. And I get this all the time, that I'm controversial, right? I mean, that I do things or say things that are controversial. I'm going, wait a second, watch what he talks about here. And I mean, I'm like saying the same thing about myself. I mean, like, I'm in bed early. I mean, I go to bed early. I get up early. I'm in prayer in the morning. I mean, like, who's controversial here?
Well, I regret all kinds of things. I endorsed the Iraq War. I mean, talk.
Again, he's putting George W. Bush in 2003 right under the bus too. What would that lead us to? It would lead us directly back over to 9/11.
Talk about living in shame. Yeah, I mean, I regret a lot of things I've said, and all I want to do is apologize for those things and to say I was wrong, which I really, I don't.
How many people are saying that they're wrong? Not very many, right? And yet, that is going to be a hallmark of being an adult. You're going to have to admit that you're wrong. When we come to a place of of the stages of grief, the first thing is denial of it, and you're going to bargain about it. And there's anger and all these other issues that come out. It's not a linear stage, a 5-point stage point. And yet he's saying, I need to apologize for it. Apology is actually the last stage. I mean, the last stage is part of the 12-step program with that too. And so he's actually intimating that as well.
Enjoy saying I was wrong or apologizing, but it's the only way forward. So yeah, I regret all kinds of things I've said, but I'm not controversial. That's like one of those words. When I was an editor, I banned that from my newsroom. It doesn't mean anything. What it means is I don't like you. In point of fact, I think I'm the most moderate person I know. My parents got divorced. I hate change. I want everything to stay exactly the same. I mean, that's the opposite of radical. I'm the opposite of radical. I like the status quo. I go to bed at 10 o'clock with my wife and 3 dogs. Like that's, I'm not into anything radical at all. I'm the least radical person I've ever met. In fact, I'm not radical enough. So
he's not radical enough. What is he saying? He might say that what we're talking about is way more radical because we're talking about Nasara, we're talking about election issues. Do you catch it?
No, if I'm a radical, I'm not the one getting rid of Easter and replacing with Tranny Day. You know what I mean?
You're a conservative for a reason, in other words. You want to conserve things.
Well, I'm just temperamentally that way. I mean, I like the country I grew up in a lot. I loved it. I love it still. But I'm very worried about it now. But I loved it. If I could press a button and make it 1985 again with no internet and, no.
Why would he say 1985? I just want you to think about that for a second. Go backward in time and understand who brought that up. In 1985, we have the movie Back to the Future, that you could push a button and go back to the future. Holy cow, he's utilizing some statements that we look at. He's going, without that internet, without the things that caused us to be in that state. No, it wasn't a perfect state either. But he's also talking about, can we go backward in time and go back out and out of the fiat and into a gold-back standard? That's another way of saying it.
Threat of AI and all the rest. I mean, I would do that. I can't do that, of course. That's a middle-aged man's dream. But I'm only saying that. It's kind of pathetic even to say that, but it's true. But just to show that, if you think I'm radical, you don't know what the word.
Sorry, a little pauses in there with that too. So as we finish out with that too, sorry, that was basically it. The controversial kind of point is so powerful, and he talks about apology. Now, I will say that most people are missing that they need to have apologies too. They need to apologize to wives and husbands that they've alienated because they didn't believe in all the stuff that's going on around us. Guys, we do need to fix the election of 2020, and we will. And guess what just happened yesterday? Joe Biden, vaccinated, said that he is has COVID for the third time. How many things can we come up with? And he said that the only way that he would be out of the election is if he had a health scare. One day later, he has a health scare. Guys, this is so fun, and yet it's difficult to live through. But if you'll sit back and see the historical nature that we're going through, it should encourage you, because it is getting fixed. We will see the fix. We will see it soon. Stop saying, I'm never going to see it. And will it happen in my lifetime? It is coming like a flood. I hope that helped you out, guys. If you want to know information, you can go to drscottyoung.com and you can download some cool articles that I have in there. Guys, it's going to be okay. Thanks so much.